Christmas has always carried a strange kind of magic. Long before lights and carols, winter was a time for gathering close. When the nights were deep and cold, the veil felt thinner, and stories were spoken aloud to make sense of the dark. In pagan traditions, stories were shared at the turning of the year, tales of spirits, ancestors, and the unseen moving just beyond the firelight. Later, in Victorian times, Christmas became a season for ghost stories again, not to frighten, but to remember, to remind us that the past lingers, that love and loss don't disappear just because the year turns. Charles Dickens understood that. His Christmas ghosts weren't monsters, they were messengers, warnings, memories, proof that what we carry with us still has a voice. This week I wanted to honor that tradition, so instead of retelling an old story, I created one just for you. A haunted Christmas story meant to be listened to, not rushed. A story about what follows us through the winter and what waits for us when we finally stop and listen. Tonight we gather for a Christmas ghost story. Welcome to Haunted by Beauty.
Hi, I'm Susan, and welcome to my channel Haunted by Beauty, where I combine my love of makeup with my passion for ghost stories. Tonight I'm doing a holiday theme, and I'm going to talk with you about Christmas ghost stories and the folklore around them. And I also have my very own story that I wrote for you to share. So I'm going to start off with my look. I don't have a picture this time. I just want to kind of wing it and do like sort of a Mrs. Claus winter theme. So I am going to start out with a skin glaze primer, and it's sort of got like an opally glow to it. So I'm going to start in with that. So this gives sort of a pearly shine to the skin. And then I'm going to go in with my tape that I do under my eyes. And start with my eyes. You might not associate ghost stories with Christmas or the holiday season, but it actually does predate sort of the Christmas holidays, that ghost stories would be told around the winter solstice. The winter solstice was seen by the pagans and up until Christianity as a time closest to death and the time closest to winter time and things dying in terms of foliage and crops and things like that. And they would have oral stories that they would sit around the fire and tell each other. And eventually those stories would pass down. And it got to the point where we're fast forwarding now to the Victorian era, where there was printing available. So all of those oral stories were converted into short stories that were sent out in serial form. And that was also right around the time when Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, which you may know or you may not know was put out in serial form. It wasn't like one book that came out. It was sort of like a soap opera on paper where it would come out. I'm not sure the frequency, but you would get one part of the story and you'd have to wait, and then you get the next part of the story. And all of those oral stories that came down through generations were integrated into the ghost stories that the Victorians would tell around Christmas time. I'm going to take a quick sip from my ghost cup. So if you think about it, sort of back in the day. Now I'm going to go in with my eye primer. There was not much to do outside of working hours. You would sit around, again, a fire with your family, and you would continue to tell those stories. You could be reading them from the serial, or you could be reading them from a book. And that's, it seems to still be a tradition with, in the United Kingdom. It didn't necessarily carry over to the United States as much, but listen, to me, it's always spooky season, so I'm always about telling a ghost story. And I think I have a good one for you tonight. I put it together today, and I named it "Oh Captain, My Captain." It's not based on the Walt Whitman poem. It's just based on a story that I came up with. So I'm going to continue with my look. I have a few palettes tonight. I have this Morphe palette, Python Code, which you'll see has some beautiful colors. There's a beautiful shiny green. There's gold. There's this sort of not too holiday. There's like a turquoise gold shifting one, but I really like this green one and this gold one. So I'm going to try to go into those. I also have this Moira palette, the Beauty Quest Moira palette, that has some greens, has some golds, has a really pretty iridescent white right here. So I'm going to go in with that as well. Right now I'm actually going to hit in with this this taupe color in my crease. So I'm going to start there. Grab my trusty sort of mat for my brushes. Let me get this out of the way and start to go into that crease. I have my crease brush that has the little dip that I've talked about before. Crease brush, and let me start to build up that crease. Oh, it is a little bit later than I thought it was going to be. That's okay. Just start to mark the area. So my story starts out 200 years ago when an old captain passed away in his seaside mansion. And 100 years from his death, there was a group of people that stayed in the mansion, and he appeared to them, and he gave a message to one of the visitors. We don't know what that message was. Every 25 years thereafter, someone would stay at the mansion, and the ghost of this captain would appear and give them a message. So I'm going to keep going with my look. I think I'm going to do a little bit darker in my crease. No, it's not translating. Let me get a little bit more. Okay. So next I'm going to go in with one of the greens. Which green do I want to use? Well, I do have two green eyeliners as well. Another Moira product is their green eyeliner. So I think maybe I'll do eyeliner and build that up. And if you can see the green. Going along my tape line. So, again, in 25-year increments, if people stayed in the mansion, they would get a message from the captain. 25 years ago, Frederick Deacon a skeptic and member of the Skeptic Society, was the person who was given the privilege of staying in the mansion and getting a message from the captain. He was an adamant skeptic. He wrote several papers and even a book about his lack of belief in anything supernatural and his faith in science. And he was eager to prove this myth to be a myth. It doesn't happen. It was a mass hallucination that people were having with this captain. However, when he left the mansion, he was a converted skeptic. He was very respected in his field. He was a 63-year-old widower, and no one expected him to come out a believer, but he did, and he refused to tell anyone the message that he was given, but he definitely was told something because it changed his mind completely. So I'm going to keep going with my look, and I am going to go in with this green in this Morphe palette. Starting to build that green up. Another sip. So 25 years passed. At this point, everyone knew about the mansion. Everyone knew about the captain. Everyone knew that Frederick Deacon went in a skeptic and came out a believer. And a lottery was held for whichever paranormal team could win the lottery and could go in and stay the night in the mansion with the hopes of seeing the captain and getting some sort of message. Hundreds of paranormal teams from across the country entered into the lottery. So I'll keep going. I'm going to hit my lids now with this gold. The gold right here. Imagine the anticipation of all these paranormal teams hoping and waiting to hear whether they would be the team that got picked to go into the mansion. Eventually, a team did get picked, and they were called Haunted by Beauty. And Haunted by Beauty prepared like they do for many trips to many different locations. They prepared for the visit to the mansion in the hopes of seeing the captain. So I am now going to go in. I am actually going to go in with some red. And I have this Ultimate I Know That's Bright palette from NYX. I keep losing my little pad here. This has a red right here. So I'm going to go in on my up here because I'm not happy with the color that I wound up with up here. So I'm going to go in with that. Back to just thinking about families huddled around a fire telling ghost stories, or all the way up to the Victorian era, or maybe even beyond when the radio became a thing, families sitting around and hearing ghost stories at Christmas time. I just love that concept. I love Dickens. I love A Christmas Carol. And there's just something about it that just feels so cozy and so familiar that I can just really relate to it. So even though we're well beyond Halloween, I still just feel like this was something that I wanted to do. I'm gonna go ahead and get a clean brush and just smoke this out. I need a little bit more of that gold. So I'll go back in and get that gold, unless I grab gold from this other palette. No, I think I'm going to stick with the Morphe. Okay, it's coming along. And now, under my brows, I'm going to hit with that iridescent white with a clean brush. I do need to fill in my brows. I had them mapped and waxed, but I have some bald spots, so I need to go in. So I have LA Girl, just a very thin. It's very tiny. You won't be able to see it from there, but just rest assured, I'm gonna fill in those sparse areas. And I like to go against the grain of the way my eyebrows are growing. And that helps to see where the sparse areas are. Build up areas that just need a little help. Bring them down a little bit. I have kind of a little sparse area here. Those are the brows. I'm going to take my tape off now and start to do my face. Gently take the tape off. I have a little four-legged visitor coming in. You can hear him click-clacking around behind me. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to use my Tier foundation. And let's see. I'm actually going to go in with my Real Techniques. I have the little sponge, but it's not really a good way to get, for me. I don't find it to be helpful with this little cushion. Remembering I have that pearlescent primer on underneath. So, Haunted by Beauty packed up their gear, packed up their makeup, and went to the mansion and was ready to spend the night and to see what they could see. the main person from Haunted by Beauty, Susan, set up her equipment. She did not have her dog with her. I'm going to go in now with my face powder. I have my NARS translucent powder, and I'm going to go in with, I'll go in with a puff, like a little puff. Now I have a red blush. My little four-legged friend is opening the door. This is completely red. So this is Juvia's Place, and this is Cheeky Cherry, and I have this Real Techniques brush. It's sort of squarish. I was going to go in with, I haven't used this. This is a cream blush. So we're going to see. This is pretty bright. Wow, this is really bright. I'm going to take as much off, or at least prime my brush as best as I can. And I want to go for that windswept, sort of imagining Mrs. Claus out in the winter winds. Go for that look a little bit lower than what I would normally do my blush, particularly in the summertime. In the summertime, you would have your blush up higher where the sun would be hitting you and tanning you and giving you color. I'm even going to do a little bit across my nose. Pretty bright. I had to usher out my four-legged friend. He was being a little bit too clickety-clackety and loud. Take another drink. I'm going to wipe some of this off my hand. Now I'm going to do my under eye. Again, going in with this Moira green eyeliner. Here my dog's still clicking and clacking around. Just picture him as Scooby-Doo. He does look like Scooby-Doo. Okay, so then I'm going to smoke out that bottom line using a very thin tapered brush. How much sparkle do I want? Let me go back in with this Morphe green. I want this to be fairly dramatic. Okay. And I do have a white eyeliner. I want to go in and do a few snowflakes, so we'll see how this goes. Let's see, little snowflakes. Next up for my lips, I actually have Fenty. It's a sort of a lip stain. I'll put the color down below. It's way too tiny for me to see. This does go on. There's the mirror going off. gonna go in with this fairly lightly. And then to go over that, I have a NYX, this color NYX, because eventually this color does dry. It dries down, and I want to keep my lips sort of like a juicy red. Oh, this is yummy. And then before I do my mascara, I want to do some highlight. So I have Maybelline's Master Holographic, and it's a white with like a little bit of a red cast. Let's do this brush. A little smear of that snowflake. It's fine. And before I do my mascara, I do have Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I'm going to be giving this a try. Wow, it smells great. And then my mascara, LA Girl Volumatic Full On Volumizing Lash Lifting Mascara. I'll go in with this, and I'll go in with my little tool. Again, a bit of a dramatic look. That's okay. This is for the holidays. I'll be right back with the finished look. This is the finished look, and I'm in full Mrs. Claus mode, and I want to finish the story now. Susan and the team from Haunted by Beauty were waiting in the mansion and anticipating the captain returning after 25 years, and at midnight, the atmosphere changed in the room. It got cold, and they heard sort of a whooshing sound, and there he appeared. The captain appeared, full cable knit sweater, captain's hat, pipe, full beard. And thinking back to Frederick Deacon, who went from a widower professor, very skeptical, and very known in his field, overnight, from that skeptic to a full believer. To this day, again, we don't know what he was told. The team thought back to that, and they didn't know what they were going to hear. And the captain looked directly at Susan, and she looked at him, and she was afraid, but she noticed a sparkle came into his eyes, and he looked at her and he said, "Your daddy said he's proud of you." That's my story. I hope you enjoyed it for the holiday season. Please like, subscribe, and please leave a comment down below your thoughts. Any ideas you have for future looks, I'm happy to do those. Any stories you may have, I'll also have my email down below. Leave those for me as well, and I'll share your story. Stay haunted and stay beautiful.